What's up, my viewers? Don't forget to leave feedbacks. Enjoy the story. Let's begin.
Jin, but also his brothers, completely speechless. The power of having a cracked elder sister. Jed assigns them their mission, which is to train until they can create the beautiful sound at will. The scene cuts to Luna, who learns about Jin's recent assassination attempt. She is aware of Miyu and Anne playing around, but she also knows they're not foolish enough to attack him at the Storm's castle. What's more, their lives would be at stake if the patriarch uncovered their plans. Luna's maid wonders if the boy lied to her sister at the time. She knows it is possible since he was so young, and they have yet to find any traces of the assassination in the past 5 years. Luna remembers him being extremely cautious of her, but remembering his face, she could tell that his words were genuine. Luna instructs her maid to keep an eye on Miyu and Anne's schemes. She wonders what Jin is up to, especially when she recalls her experience with the singing stones. The very next day, Jin is barely able to maintain his posture. It's the toughest form of training he has ever been a part of. Jed is supervising their training. Our boy was severely mistaken when he thought this training was related to their physical abilities. Instead, it is focused on increasing one's aura. Jin has to increase his aura to make up for his lack of strength. He aims to remain calm. It's not an impossible task, as the Tona twins managed to complete it in his previous life. Jed observes each sibling struggling, but only Jin shows the most amount of progress among the three. It's possible that he will overcome Luna's record for the singing stones. The training concludes with the Tona twins facing utter collapse. Jed is impressed by their endurance nonetheless. As for Jin, his dear uncle is offended that he's the youngest of the siblings because this boy is a diamond in the making. The dude is slowly becoming his nephew's #1 fan. 1 month passed. The intermediate class was finally being handed its first missions. The mission is to protect the recruits of the Minche Blacksmith Guild. Each faction is assigned their missions, until finally, it's Jin's faction's turn. This group of 10 cadets is tasked to slay an enormous number of 25 orcs, nearly double their number. It's not the easiest mission, especially when they've just joined the intermediate class. It's evident that a lot of them won't even make it past their first mission. The other factions make fun of Jin's group, just like he predicted they would. Mesa stops her comrades from arguing, demanding that they maintain their composure as Runkindels. They have no choice in the matter of choosing their missions. The only way out is to execute on them. Mesa wants to shut their haters down for good after achieving victory. Diatona ends up striking the singing stone so hard that it explodes right on him. Jin barely evades the explosion before getting struck by the blast. He doesn't want to train around these clowns because they're careless about their surroundings. The Tona twins are in the process of exploding the stones. But for Jin, something strange happened. His senses became so sharp that it felt like he could sense the object coming from a mile away. At this point, he's confident in his ability to evade the steel pellets should the singing stones ever explode. Jean wonders if this training has something to do with the mind's eye training he did with Luna. To confirm his suspicions, he decides to try again. But Jed breaks into their training session to report them about the new missions. The Tona twins are seething as it's a ceremony with the Vymonth Empire. It's not a life-threatening mission, but a draining one. Jed emphasizes the importance of attending the mission with seriousness, no matter the task. It's an event where strong warriors get to meet up, including the Runkindels. Jed wants the Tona twins to get a good scope of those people. Jin's mission is different, however. He's assigned a target mission. Jin has to kill Talaris's affectionate lover. The secret palace refers to the giant tower controlled by rulers. The current ruler is called Talaris Endorma, a woman so deadly that she doesn't show mercy to those who hurt her lovers. Jin is given the broad scope of the threat of this mission. His target is a man called Alcaro, who is effectively guarded by the agents of the secret palace. What's more, this kind of mission is usually assigned to guardian knights, prompting Haitona and Diatona's reactions. Jin is intrigued by the request. He wonders if the Chanderer family really wants to assassinate one of their own people. Jed explains that his family tried numerous times to retrieve Alcaro to preserve the family's secrets. With no options left, they pinned an assassination request over his head. Jin accepts the mission with conviction, much to Jed's shock, as it is well beyond Jin's current skill level. Jed decides to entertain his answer. He tasks the three to go out for the mission in 3 days. The Tona twins are actually worried for Jin's life, because even they understand the gravity of this mission. They advise him to state his name as a Runkindel, thinking it would be enough to help him. Our boy is shocked by their consideration and slices the steel ball perfectly, producing a gentle sound. Jin has already achieved mastery, and by the time he returns, the Tona twins will be forced to side with him. Even Jed believes they should make the sensible choice of following Jin, because their very lives will be at stake if they don't. The day of the mission is here. Jin will be designated in the dangerous Mahmit Lawless region. The Runkindel young master has maintained a slight disguise to mask his appearance and identity. Jin's group is supposed to slay monsters, but he doesn't know they're supposed to be facing 25 orcs. All of them are miserable about the mission, to the point they've already accepted their deaths. Jin emphasizes that he will return from this mission no matter what. Jilly finds his subordinates cute for acting worried for him. Murakhan tries to gloat about being the great dark dragon, not realizing he's reduced to being a stupid cat right now. Jin wants Jilly to enjoy the vacation while he's gone. She shares her personal concerns as Mamit is a deadly place. Jin promises his return and takes off. The Mamit region is festered with the worst criminals around. These people bask in toxicity and malice. Jin has arrived to kick their butts. They haven't seen this person before. He acts audacious like he owns the place. One of the crooks questions if he's secretly a 9-star knight. He wants the newbie to understand the order of strength. But Jin has no time for such petty banters. He stabs the man's head clean and instills a chilling sensation among the people. The criminals don't share feelings of loss for their fallen fellow. They're psychopathic people, and as advised by his teacher, Jin is trying to show them he's not to mess around with. He's grateful for his teacher's help. Jin takes the drink, unafraid of it being poisoned. He tosses the payment and eats breakfast. The bartender wonders if he's looking for someone. Jin confirms and asks for a person called Hister. Unfortunately, there's no one like her in town. Jin asks for a place to stay. The bartender recommends Moonlight Well, a safe inn where only the kings of Mamit reside. It's a luxurious inn. Since Alcaro is a rich kid, he didn't have to worry about minuscule troubles in his life. He's nothing more than a clown who can't control his lust for pleasure. Alcaro's only sticking around to try and gain the affection of the ruler, but there's no point as she's moved on to her next fascination. With only one place left to his enjoyment and safety, it's clear that Alcaro must have guards swarming around him. Jin decides to stay in the lobby to get a good view of the situation. Interestingly, he spots Alcaro immediately as he's arguing with his men. The guards don't want to leave him unattended, but Alcaro is lost in his desires. He even threatens to kill them. In response, Alcaro gets slammed by a heavy punch that knocks him out for good. They're tired of guarding this annoying clown who is mad in his obsession. Alcaro's guards are all powerful enough to cross the 6-star level. The assassination itself is easy, but making his return and fleeing safely is the difficult part. Since he can't easily poison someone in Mamit, it will be difficult. There's no chance of killing him directly because of Alcaro's men. Jin finds himself in a pinch until he discovers the perfect solution to all his worries. The following day, we catch a glimpse of Cirrus Endorma, the ruler's daughter. She learns that 6 men are guarding Alcaro strongly, a man who may as well be called a fool. Funnily enough, she's also prepared to kill him because the woman is sick and tired of his antics. As they're approaching the inn, an enormous thunderbolt strikes the establishment and pulverizes the place. The daughter of Talaris is excited, realizing there is more than what meets the eye. Circling back to Jin's grand plan, he opted to use a magic attack and increase its potency by stacking Shadow Force on top. This would help create a powerful 6-star magic spell, strong enough to assert the idea that they're being attacked by a powerful mage. No one would suspect the boy, especially when the greatest prodigy of sorcery, Veradine Zyphel, also just reached 6-star level. Jin has to ensure the attack came from outside, which is why he decided to go for a lightning-based attack. With his command over Shadow Force, he casted its release and manifested his lightning powers. The disastrous thunderbolt struck the settlement before they could even act. Their immediate suspicion alerted them to believe that this is the attack of a sorcerer. Ceres assesses the seriousness of the situation. She wants to protect her guards even if the scumbag died. But the moment they try to get close, the thunderbolt sends them flying back. They wonder if the Zyphel sorcerers are exacting revenge against the secret palace. A third thunderbolt strikes the settlement. Ceres thinks there won't be a fourth attack. She's hoping no one is massively hurt. Unfortunately, during this stunt, even Jin caught massive injuries as he endured the wrath of his own spell. Though the guards are still alive, Alcaro is nowhere to be found. Jin wants to ensure the execution while he still can. But unfortunately, Ceres catches sight of him and tries to help him. She doesn't really care about Alcaro's safety and prefers his execution anyway. Ceres also demands the capture of the sorcerer responsible for casting the spells. Jin is glad that he doesn't have to do the dirty work of killing Alcaro when she's here with a whole squad of her own. But there's bound to be trouble if she recognizes Jin's identity as a run candle. The guards come to inform Alcaro's confirmed death because of the lethal spell. Ceres gains control of the Moonlight Well as the daughter of the ruler Talaris. There are obvious objections to her declaration, as she is challenged by the crooks of Mamit. Ceres shows her domination as she cuts them down with her icicle blade. She plans to compensate for the damages if the sorcerer aims to attack the secret palace. But she's also ready to ruin their lives if the sorcerer's target was one of the criminals. Ceres claims control over the inn. Her next target is the sorcerer who attacked them. It's clear that it has to be one of the survivors who casted the spell. She's already pissed that they provoked a powerful enemy. Sirius is annoyed by Jin's sluggish pace, calling him a coward. She tends to his leg injury, something a commoner could brag about for a century. Sirius knows this goofball can't repay her anyway, so she leaves him an experience to remember. Jin waves her goodbye, but this dude locks in like crazy after she leaves. He's just completed his objective and covered his tracks at the same time. The scene jumps to the battle against the orcs. Mesa and the others have freshly taken down an orc, gaining a delusional confidence that they might overcome the challenge without any casualties. But Mesa is more serious. With 7 more targets to kill, she doesn't want her people to get sloppy. What's concerning is the odd behavior of the orcs. They usually attack in groups, but strangely they're all alone. Mesa thinks that Jin's blessing has helped them on this mission. While they're focused on completing the mission, Murakhan is glad that he'll finally be free after this. It's actually pretty easy as to why the orcs are behaving this way. Murakhan threatened to kill them if they did otherwise. The orcs were so afraid that they never got back with each other again. Unfortunately, the cat dragon thinks he will be tasked to do more annoying quests in the future. Murakhan wants to read comic books in exchange for his service. He's glad that they're all in one piece. But then, even Murakhan senses an incredible dark energy that he previously didn't predict. This monster is stomping its way to the location of Mesa's group. Murakhan spreads a powerful shadow barrier that goes unnoticed by everyone except Velop. During this time, he enters his true form to obliterate the monster who casts its energy without his permission. The tomb giants were once brought to extinction nearly 2 millennia ago. Murakhan fails to understand the creature's reason for showing up here. He prepares a deadly beam and annihilates the creature with a column of darkness. With the monster defeated, Murakhan feels tense all over his body. He hasn't used this much power in a long while, but he's confident the Zyphals have something to do with the tomb giant's sudden appearance. These strange coincidences riddle him, but he's uninterested in informing Jin about the situation. Murakhan understands that there will come a time when Jin will face the Zyphal clan. The scene cuts to the Transfigurator, who is utterly shocked that his creation, the tomb giant, was instantly destroyed. He's frustrated at the outcome, but Bishkil is concerned about an even more pressing matter. The Shadow Dragon became responsible for destroying the creature, as if to warn them. Bishkek wants to meet with the Zyphals as soon as he can. Jed feels the weight of pride after Jin's fantastic return. It's a crushing defeat to the flag bearers responsible for assigning him an important mission. The intermediate class is dismissed as Jin catches up with his friends and learns they also succeeded in their endeavors. Most of the intermediate class knights are jealous that a pureblood run Candle is armed with godly luck on his side. After all, they're hard stuck at their ranks. They make fun of Jin, who is a mere 4-star knight in their eyes. Despite his arrogance, they can't dent him because of his position as a pureblood. They're waiting for their next orders from Miyu and Anne. Interestingly, Jin invites the challenge by walking right towards them, enjoyably stating that he heard every word. He taunts Kazin, who admits talking trash behind his back. Jin confirms that he doesn't boast a higher rank than the rest of them. Kazin scoffs at him, fed up with Jin, who only completed the mission because of luck. Jin makes himself clear. He fully admits that the 5-star knight might outclass Jin's rank as a 4-star knight. Instead of letting them talk, Jin wants Kazin to challenge him to a duel. He fully allows the use of aura. Kazin thinks he's going to snatch an easy victory. He lunges to attack Jin, who can sense his frustration behind every swing. At the same time, Jin has experienced battle with far stronger opponents, so he's not feeling outclassed. Kazin tries to finish the fight, boasting himself as the stronger one of the 2 fighters. Jin blocks the attack but gets struck by his aura. Finally, he's able to keep up with the trajectories of his attacks, all possible combinations made with a sword. Jin is perceptive of every attack coming towards him. Thankfully, his opponent is fueled by rage, blind to his senses. With a clash of their swords, Jin prepares to end the fight with conviction. He hawks at his opponent for being predictable and bearing no chances of winning. 3 critical moves follow in Kazin's attacks. Jin counters everything and prepares for the killer blow. He renders a powerful aura slash that annihilates Kazin, stealing the victory from his mouth. Jin is certain of his strength. He has improved massively and entered the domain of a 5-star knight. It was his plan to misguide his opponent into believing he was an inferior opponent to exploit openings. The Tona twins come to the scene to find themselves baffled, but Jin doesn't even think much of the fight and walks away casually. When Kazin reports to his faction leaders, they take it as a joke. They're stunned that the boy has already reached the level of a 5-star knight at his fragile age. Both Miyu and Anne are aware of Jin's hostile message to the clan. They're prepared to mobilize strict measures to cut him down on his next mission. The clan murmurs about Jin's recent strength and improvement. Only the best of the best from his clan could achieve this level at the same age. Even Jin didn't predict this level of growth. He didn't refine his sword mastery skills apart from his special training. Growth in one side of his training affects all other aspects. Improving Shadow Force helped improve aura and mana flow too. He's the only person in his clan to master all 3 powers. Jin spots a bunch of flowers he's never seen before in his room. He doesn't mind since they seem to be safe. As for his latest achievement, Jin is certain that his siblings will become even more anxious to cut him down. Joshua is one of those people. He's a candidate for the throne right after Luna gave up her pursuit to become the patriarch. Joshua is working on improving his strategic position in the clan with the help of their mother. At first, Jin wanted to conceal his skills, but he changed his mind. It's clear that the whole world will know about his accomplishments. Instead of gloating about his achievements, Jin wants his father to take notice. Siren isn't satisfied with Joshua sitting on the throne. Ahi wanted Luna, but she lacked ambition and walked away despite her incredible talents. With Luna gone, the next candidate became Joshua. All of this happened long before Gin made his accomplishments show that he is worthy of the throne. Jin is aware that his father will definitely test him with a difficult trial. What's more is that he might provide personal protection to safeguard Jin, in case he gets ambushed before the test. Thanks to his Kieran's intrigue, Jin will survive the wrath of his siblings. Knowing that a banquet will be hosted upon his father's return, Jin is expecting great things. A few days after this conversation, invitational letters from clans all over the world have come crashing in. Jin has maintained a peaceful life against the flag bearers. They don't want to risk attacking him while he's sharing the limelight. The Runkandel family reputation would be at stake in that case. Petrov suddenly comes rushing in with news of Jin's latest mission. Their mother is infuriated, disappointed by her children's actions. They were bold enough to send Jin right to his death by assigning him a mission in the Zyphal territory. Jin crashes the party with his appearance. Luntia, Ran, and Vuigo glance at their youngest brother. Their mother Rosa instantly cancels the mission, crushing both Anne and Miu's plans. She roars at the scumbags who openly decided to plot their own brother's death. Miu and Anne share extreme hostility, as if plotting their brother's death should be taken lightly. They're walking on eggshells. Conflicts were encouraged for the sake of competition when they grew up. They all had to face hardship while growing up during their time in the intermediate class. Rosa validates their concerns, confirming the necessity of competition. But at the same time, neither Anne or Miu reached the achievement of a 5-star knight at a young age. Jin is literally built differently, basically. In other words, their mother does not want to lose an exceptional talent to their antics. What's more is that Luntia, Ran, and Vuigo are getting equal trouble for their involvement. They're punished by returning precious swords to the clan. Rosa even threatens to confiscate every sword in their possession if they do not oblige. Faced with so much commotion, Rosa waits for Jin's response. She wonders if he's going to be kind enough to receive the punishment, or if he will use this to his amusement. She wants to test the boy's resolve. Jin raises his voice, intending to take on the mission. Rosa is shocked that he fails to grasp the danger that comes with accepting the mission. The territory of Zyphals is terrifying, but Jin is confident of his victory. He's all for the mission he was assigned by his beloved sisters. Actually, he even sides with his sisters for helping him take on a mission within his powers. Rosa taunts him for putting on a courageous act. But the 15-year-old shares concerns for the reputation of the clan if there is a sudden change in missions. Rosa blasts his excuse, knowing that he's just being exploited through this mission. Since they can't fight directly, that's what Jin is hoping for. He knows he's no match for his sisters at present, so he wants to prove a point by completely destroying them with this mission. Rosa is still cautious and reminds him of the danger. Jin is glad to take on the fight for the condition of retrieving the swords from his brothers after his return. Both Vuigo and Ran are even ready to stop him from going on a mission so dangerous by offering him a sword now. But Jin isn't buying into their schemes, because if they were on his side from the beginning, they would have stopped Miu and Anne's schemes. Rosa accepts the boy's conditions. She fears the possibility that Jin might one day become like Luna. But now, Rosa is happy with her son's recent development. With the meeting coming to a close, Anne taunts him for boasting a lucky track record. She's even ready to send some of her own slaves to finish the job. Jin doesn't acknowledge their words and hopes to give them a slap on the face with his return. The intermediate class knights from their faction are none other than the hooligans who were taunting Jin since the first day. Kazin is one of the three. Jin shows no signs of distrust to their faces, but deep down, he knows they're waiting for the right opportunity to strike him down. The mission objective is to hijack items after infiltration. 4 relics rest in the historic sites of Kolin. It was once a thriving land that now belongs to the Zyphals. After discovering the land, they mercilessly slaughtered the natives. They only act like they respect Colin's people, but deep down, it's clear they're still facing enslavement by the sorcerers. While the Zyphals generally try to play with reason, they are extremely cruel, and Jin knows from experience in his past life. Even the sorcerers were hunting a special relic in this land, a mirror that is boasted as a top-secret relic. One journalist was able to cover the mirror in great detail by investigating and testifying from Colin's people. The mystical well of mana is so powerful that it boosts one's mana to 7 stars, allowing the Zyphals to build an unstoppable army in the future. The object has yet to be discovered in this timeline. Jin wants to ensure the same doesn't happen again. The relic rests in the 3rd warehouse guarded by the Zyphals. They will have to take caution against the sentry spells in the area. Kazin offers his undivided support, but Jin obviously knows it's a bunch of crap. Kazin's men recommend keeping an efficient approach on the journey, but Jin has different ideas. He's not in the mood to play around, so he spikes their food with a sleeping drug. Their bodies flop to the ground. Jin thinks it was obvious they were trying to kill him from the start. He advances forth to finish this mission all by himself. Our boy immediately throws hands and sharply dodges the enemy's attacks. With 2 low-class fighters down for the count, Jin inspects the ordinary-looking lock. Jin cracks it easily to find a magic circle marked on the ground. Rumors suggest that only those with specific bloodlines can transport via magic circles. However, that technicality only exists for demons or humans. Jin slices the defeated guard's hand to extract the necessary blood. He could have used his own, but that wouldn't cover his tracks. The magic circle activates after coming in contact with the blood. But suddenly, it reacted harshly, even though he used the blood of the guard. Jin turns to realize that the mob characters he just defeated are actually monsters. He falls back to inflict them with wind magic. Originally, Jin wanted to cover his mana, but he's forced to use magic against these monsters. With his blade, he stabs the demon with a sharp slash but ultimately gets pushed back. Jin unsheathes the holy blade, which scares the ugly twins. What's more is that they're capable of regeneration at an immense speed. Jin is confident that he isn't dealing with ordinary demons since they were humans only moments ago. The Zyphal territory is filled with sorcerers, and now there is the appearance of terrifying monsters with mysterious origins. The answer is clear, that they were forged biological golems. This implies that the Zyphals are using the people of Kolin as their personal lab facility. These monsters only possess the speed and strength of a regular 4-star knight, so they're not impossible to beat. Jin narrows his focus on attacking the golem's core, as they are considered the greatest weakness. Jin thrusts this dude's head clean, but it's not enough to kill him. The monster is even more enraged than from before. Jin impales the creature's abdomen, but it's still not enough to defeat the monster. The final spot is the creature's heart. Jin defeats the golem at last, pitying the humans who were forced to become such creatures. He kills the second golem in the same manner, and with that, both creatures are subdued. The pitiable remains of the human begged for a release. Jin eased his pain by dealing the finishing blow. It's clear to him that there is an outside evil force turning innocent humans into bloodthirsty monsters. His heart is filled with anger after discovering the horrors of the Zyphals. The swordsman wonders if his sisters knew about this fact. And yet, Jin's spirit burns to complete the mission. He has no leverage against the Zyphals even if he exposes their shitty schemes. Experimentation and creation of biological golems is a taboo, so it would put incredible pressure on the clan's reputation. Jin safeguards what little evidence he has to use against the Zyphals in the future. What's more is that the sorcerers aren't jumping him to attack, implying that it's just a regular warehouse. Jin observes guarded relics. He has to overcome their spells before obtaining them. First, he wanted to try and solve each spell, but with the discovery of the biological golems, Jin takes a reckless approach by combining Shadow Force with his flame magic. He obliterates the site in the hopes of delivering a message for the Zyphals to remember. Back at the Runcandle Castle, both Anne and Miu are slapped around by their elder sister Luna. She is royally pissed that they sent him on a deadly mission. Luna questions if they're so bold as to wage a war against their youngest brother, who isn't even a flag bearer at his current level. Luna hopes they reflect on their shameful actions. Anne fights back against her sister, claiming that she shouldn't be the one to talk when she has never had an interest in ranks. Luna happily tells them the news of Jin's successful mission run. He has recovered the relics and reported its completion to their mother. That's why Luna was scolding their stupidity, as they've allowed Jin to seem even more capable than his rank. Before sending them away, Luna reminds her dear sisters that they're dealing with someone who loves to pay back double when it comes to revenge. She's literally fearing for their lives, knowing Jin could very well destroy them soon. Luna returns to her room after giving her sisters a verbal spanking of the century. Her maid shares the same concerns. If anything, Jin isn't the type to forgive and forget. He's going to become so powerful with his rate of growth that he will surpass his sisters, and probably even kill them. Luna asks for an update on the person who assigned Jin's assassination. It's clear that neither Anne nor Miu were responsible for such an atrocity. It couldn't be the Tona twins either. Luna shares her suspicions for Joshua, Daifus, and the others. They can't easily be investigated because of their rank. Luna recommends sitting back and waiting. Jin's growth is another reason she isn't too worried about him. Our boy has returned home at last. Jilly is teary-eyed because she was afraid of losing him. She loves him so much that she's ready to put down her life for him. Jin has submitted the report, making it seem like an outside force helped him this time too. More importantly, he shares his findings by presenting them with the heart of the golem. Murakhan thinks he got way too lucky. But even the Dark Dragon receives a shock to his being when he learns that they were biological golems. Murakhan fears the worst from the Zyphals, and seems confident that they're responsible for their creation. He insists on visiting the Kulin territory with Jin because he's got a bad feeling. Even though our boy is afraid of going back, he thinks it will be alright with Murakhan guarding his ass. Jin hopes to arrange an excuse to venture into the Zyphal territory again. The 3 delinquents that he knocked unconscious returned after Jin's mission, but they were soon banished from the Runcandle clan. Jin's training continued as he mastered the singing stones. Jed wants him to stop training with the cadets as he's got a meeting with the Patriarch next week. The Tona twins are stunned. It's possible for him to become a reserve flag bearer to maintain his reputation until his role is officialized in the clan. Our boy was happy to operate on his own at last. He wears a happy smile as this will allow him to become even stronger. Kieran marched his army towards the Garden of Swords. He keeps coming back because of Jin's amazing progress. Khan admits that the boy's abilities were once exceptional, but now they're in another league of their own. Jin boasts the will to fight with ambition and determination. Siren remembers the day he provoked his dear siblings when he arrived in the Garden of Swords. He wanted to destroy his enemies in the long run. They tried stopping him in many ways, but the fact that he survived the Kulon territory proves that he can survive against his siblings' best attempts to kill him. He even fought a white werewolf and defeated the creature, not with the help of others, but standing on his own. Siren is proud of his son's determination to keep up with his promises. He's certain of the boy's ability to defeat the werewolf alone. He's still interested in asking how that fight went down upon meeting him. Kieran arrives at the Garden of Swords at last. Rosa welcomes him in kind, having prepared much for his return. Joshua has been actively handling most of her responsibilities behind their back. But Chiron still thinks Joshua is imperfect. The Patriarch emphasizes that their enemies fear him, but not his children. When he passes Jin, Kieran spots fancy new blades. He wonders if Ran and Vuigo happily extended their swords to Jin as a gift. The Patriarch roars in a sudden laugh when he hears that Jin obtained the swords by completing the mission. The little boy keeps on surprising him. Kieran shares a meeting with Jin in private. The boy has never been part of a banquet hosted by his own family. In his previous life, he couldn't even participate in these banquets. That's how worthless he was. But today, he's a guest of honor standing next to his father. It may have taken a cycle of reincarnation, but he has everything he wants. Kieran explains that the banquet is held in honor of the boy's extraordinary achievement. Jin assumes there might be a total of 1,000 guests. Kieran confirms that the number exceeds the previous banquet that was held 7 years ago. The Runcandles have increased their influence to the point every guest is known. Sieran has been exterminating monsters in the Dark Sea while at the same time honing his skills. Even without his interference, the Runcandel reputation soars at an all-time high because of his demigod rank. The Patriarch fears that if he bites the bullet, the very people participating as guests could end up becoming enemies of the Runcandles. The Runcandles and the Zyphals are considered the strongest clans in the world. But everything will change when Ciaran is no longer in the picture. It's likely that the Zyphals will conquer the world in that outcome. Jin shocks his father with a striking confession. He declares to leave the Runcandle clan once they fall victim to the Zyphals. The reason is simple. It's because the blame would befall upon the leading Patriarch. Jin isn't interested in serving an unskilled leader. Jin returned Vuigo's weapon in exchange for obtaining secret information of the contracts that only the flag bearers are privy to. He learned that many clans are actually indebted to the Runcandels for their services. Some of them haven't paid their due. There's so much material hidden in the form of blackmail and negotiation that Jin is planning to exploit them well after his father's death. The possibility of a Divine Star Knight coming into the picture is slim, so our boy is planning to become a negotiation mastermind to turn the tide in an unfortunate future. Sieran reminds the boy that the Zyphals could do the same in response. But Jin believes that they can't exploit others like the Runcandles. Jin is firm on his decision to leave the clan if the next Patriarch ends up incompetent, which will then lead to a solo quest to take apart the Zyphals. Sieran is impressed by his strategy. The rest of his children are meek. They lack the vigor to discuss possible futures in front of him. Jin, on the other hand, is reasonably calculating. Kieran thinks the boy shares the strengths of Luna, Mary, and Dyphus. The Patriarch doesn't have much more time left to maintain his position. He muses the possibility of Jin overcoming the ranks within that time span. Kieran wants to discuss one more topic after the banquet ends. Jin is confident that the conversation will be related to his promotion to a reserve flag bearer. He's very excited for that to happen. Suddenly, a Runcandle servant rushes to inform the Patriarch about special guests who came uninformed. Sharon instantly realizes that it must be the Zyphals. 5 Zyphals have arrived along with the minor patriarch of the clan. Kieran accepts the others but refuses to welcome Andre's entrance. Jean is alarmed to see his father's humiliating response to the Zyphal minor patriarch, but he agrees that it is necessary. It's a smart order because Andre would be disobeying Kieran's orders if he forced his way in. This means Andre has to follow their command no matter what, unless he's interested in getting himself killed. Kieran welcomes his guests as the patriarch of the Run Candle clan. He highlights Jin's exceptional progress as the reason for the banquet. The guests praise the boy's accomplishments. Kieran explains that only 2 rules exist in the banquet. The first is that drunk fighting is acceptable in the arena, and the loser will be forgiven if he concedes the victory, as this is nothing more than a banquet. With 1,000 enemies brought together in one circle, they can't do anything but follow the rules of the Run Candle clan's banquet. However, they can happily choose to beat each other in the arena as much as they please. It's a way of settling scores or accomplishing records. Even Jin thinks they're a battle-driven crazy clan. Shirawan tells the boy to enjoy his time fighting anyone who dares challenge him. However, he's only supposed to fight the strong instead of picking on the weak. Kieran emphasizes that if he loses even a single fight, he will be stripped of his privileges. It's a scary thing to say, and the stakes are high. Then again, Jin never shared the privilege of speaking to his father in his previous life. But now, they are closer than ever. Despite that, Jin doesn't hope to foster a happy relationship with his family. His lifelong goal is to surpass his father instead. Jin joins the banquet. The Tona twins merrily stick around him. They inform him of their progress with the singing stones. But Jin knows they're here to just steal some of his attention. The first flag bearer of the Ken clan extends his gratitude for the Run Candle prodigy. The Tona twins exit the scene, while Jin talks highly of Ken's accomplishments, viewing him as a hero. Suddenly, an arrogant imbecile interrupts their conversation. Uger disrespects Jin, who maintains his calm despite the provocation. Despite being the asshole, he accuses Jin of a case of disrespect. Our boy confidently responds that what he did could have ended very badly for him. The flag bearers of the Ken clan, among others, treated Jin with immense respect, and then this nobody chimed in acting like he owned the place. Uger instantly realizes that he's making himself seem like a target. He does as he is asked, apologizing for getting ahead of himself. Jin forgives him promptly, while the gorgeous Luna comments how Jin loves making enemies. She wants him to take it easy, and wonders what would have happened if the man challenged him to a duel. For Jin, it doesn't seem like a problem. He was betting on Tuco clan's patriarch to stop his foolishness before that happened. Luna is impressed by his quick thinking. Jin emphasizes that he has to learn a fuckton of things to make sure he survives in the family, especially when he's the youngest of the bunch. He's a prodigious boy who was targeted even at the safest castle. Luna is curious about the identity of the man who tried to assassinate him. She doesn't fancy such parties and hopes to leave. She refuses to dance with her brother for now, calling our boy a short king. Before leaving, Luna dearly embraces her brother as a display of affection. This would make them fear interacting with Jin, since they're even more afraid of the legendary white whale of the Run Candle clan. Some of them grow furiously jealous. Bubare is actually a die-hard fan of Luna and simps for her like a creepy maniac. Bishkel is disappointed by this dude, while his sister Margiela is spoiling the man for having his type. Jin is most tired of his role in the banquet. He wonders what happened to the Zyphal intruders. In unexpected suddenness, Jin spots the icy Cirrus and Dorma. She greets him with conviction, as if she has already met him from somewhere. Jin behaves as if they're encountering each other for the first time. She thinks highly of his accomplishments for reaching 5 stars at a nimble age. Jin returns the compliment and thinks that Cirrus is doing well as an heir to the secret palace. She taunts him for having one too many siblings. Instead of feeling offended, Jin agrees. He's actually certain that Cirrus knows about his identity from the time he infiltrated Mamit. The sharp woman finally gets to the main topic if his leg is recovered. Jin simply smiles and returns the assertion that he remembers their interaction. Ceres wants to know the identity of the man who led the attack. The sorcerer was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, suspicions rose regarding Jin's identity. The Run Candle prodigy uses his clan's reputation to imply that he can't possibly use magic. Ceres knows that. But she thinks he must have used an outside sorcerer to do the job instead. Ceres gets insistent in her demands, dying to know the answer. But she's misinformed and thinks that Jin targeted her guards instead of Alcaro. The Run Candle prodigy maintains his stance of innocence. Ceres predicted this would happen. She challenges him to a duel to humiliate Jin. In utmost savagery, Jin tells her that he can't fight opponents weaker than him, but he's happy to take on her offer. This man knows how to roast. The preparations for the duel are underway. Jin asks for 2 swords for their fight. The arena will be locked for the time being. Jin doesn't want her to suffer a humiliating defeat in front of the entire party. Ceres is hoping that he will spill everything about his mission when she wins. Jin places his condition that if he wins, she will never speak of their interaction in Mamit. The fight begins with Jin rushing to attack, but he's blindsided by the special ability of the Endorma bloodline. Ceres has brought out the big guns and the fight has only just begun. Jin is sad that he can't learn special moves of his clan because he's the youngest one in the family. Ceres goes on a heavy attack, but she's equally impressed to see Jin countering each of her blows impressively. But even so, Ceres is certain of her victory thanks to her Sword of Ice. While Jin specializes in attack and stamina, she is expecting to finish him with a counterattack. Acknowledging Ceres as an impressive martial artist, Jin figures out her strategy to deploy a secret move. He plans to counter with a secret move of his own when the time is right. Based on his knowledge from the ancient library, Jin has a weapon of his own that he has been hiding. Ceres finally activates the third move of the Sword of Sea Ice. The avalanche catches him with its sharp burst of aura. Ceres is the embodiment of the harsh snow, but Jin confidently laughs in her face. He cuts through the avalanche with his sword, shocking Ceres as he barely missed her face. But that was the intent as it caused an explosion. Jin is worried for Ceres's condition, as he didn't anticipate such a powerful finishing move. He is desperately hoping she survived the attack. Jin finds her kneeling in defeat, completely lost and stripped of her confidence. She had just encountered death. Jin consoles her and even apologizes for getting ahead of himself. The 15-year-old dodged, but only because her opponent instructed her at the final moment. She's deeply scarred in her pride, and Jin acknowledges her feelings. Instead of getting angry at him, Ceres tends to the wound on Jin's face. She is humiliated that Jin had to save her life just now. Accepting her defeat, Ceres turns away, honoring their promise. The following day, even fewer people arrived than yesterday. All eyes are set on Jin, who is eager to get in touch with the Zayfels. They're supposed to be just as young, so Jin is curious how he stacks up against their prodigies. He's juggling his thoughts regarding becoming a flag bearer and investigating Colin with Murakhan. There's also an incredible chance of his success if Murakhan helps him locate the Well of Mana, preventing the Zefel clan's growth. Speaking of the devil, Murakhan enjoys being pet by Ceres. She laughs, realizing Jin named his dumb cat. An unexpected visitor comes to meet them. It's Veridine from the Zefel clan. Jin doesn't even remember this clumsy fool, while on the other hand, Veridine thought of him every day. Jin doesn't remember the clown even with 2 hints. Veridine thinks our boy must have a serious case of dementia so as to not remember him. Jin breaks his teasing and emphasizes that he was messing with him. What he can't believe is this same guy ends up becoming a 9-star sorcerer in his prime and rises as the patriarch of his clan. And here he couldn't even find Jin after looking for him the whole day. Jin is disappointed because this guy can't even navigate in a small hall for the life of him. Veridine is impressed by his amazing achievement, but tries to one-up him by stating that he rose to 6 stars in his magic. Jin isn't actually impressed. Instead, he's disappointed. Because with the way his magic improvement is going, he'll even surpass Veridine's magic by the time he reaches 18 years of age. Jin is almost certain of the fact that he will become the strongest sorcerer in the entire world in his quest. Jin curiously asks why the Zefels popped up out of nowhere. Veridine explains that he begged to come along to see Jin. The entire shit show at the beginning happened because one teenager wanted to meet another teenager. Veridine promises to welcome Jin to his clan's banquet without any harm. He doesn't care if Jin goes on to attack the Zefel territory if that happens. Jin thinks he's being stupid for allowing his enemy such an easy advantage. More importantly, our boy has noticed Bubar secretly eavesdropping their conversation. Jin calls him out, so Bubar turns into a simp and asks for Luna's return. This man was writing love poems for her all night. The dude thinks he's Romeo, but all he needs to do is take a look in the mirror. Even Veridine spits out his drink. Jin is met with so much anger that he obliterates the present. He finds the man's very suggestion offensive. Jin orders the man to be sent to the arena for his insolence. Bubar feels mistreated. After all, he simply wanted to earn the love of the Runkendel family's beautiful goddess. Bubar shouts his complaints, but Jin is so pissed that he wants to beat the shit out of him with his own hands. The Transfigurator fails to understand what he did was so wrong that earned him such punishment. Bishkal and his sister are both stunned to see such an unexpected development. Ceres is annoyed that she can't fight Jin in place of the fatty. Veridine tries to butter up to her and gets told off in return. Unlike yesterday, this match is held before the eyes of the public. While everyone knows about Jin's identity, Bubar is a mystery. He begs for a chance to introduce himself. But before he could even state his name, Jin obliterates this meatball's face with a punch. Bubare shows a display of confidence by commanding his aura. Basically, Jin is facing someone a level stronger than his own. Bubare actually manages to punch Jin across the face. He easily gives into arrogance, which becomes his undoing. Jin slams his fat ass to the ground before hammering him with hundreds of punches all over his body. The fight is supposed to be over, but Margiela fails to comprehend the Runkendel's actions. Bishkul explains to her sister that Bubar is actually pretty strong himself. She wants Bishkul to go ahead and defeat Jin in a one-on-one fight. He accepts to honor his sister's desires. Bishkek enters the arena with a confident star. He's a 7-star knight, much stronger than Jin, who is planning to use this as an opportunity to learn about his clan. Jin is even more shocked by Margiela, who is sacrificing her brother to get what she wants. Jin commends his display of affection for his dear sister. He feels the same about his own sisters and hopes that Bishkel teaches his underlings to keep their mouths shut. The 7-star knight finally name-drops Bubar's name, causing a shock to Jin because he realizes he just beat up the Transfigurator in real time. Jin is having major flashbacks, realizing that Bubar is deeply connected with Bishkel's clan. Jin finds himself incredibly distracted but tries to focus against his opponent, who is a competent knight. The fight begins with Bishkel dishing out incredibly offensive moves. Jin can't believe that he's dealing with an ordinary 7-star knight, as this man's talent rivals even that of his uncle. Bishkel's hammering blows put Jin on the back foot. He's barely able to defend against Bishkel's menacing swordsmanship. However, Veradine is firm of the opinion that the Runkendels thrive on being cornered. He compares them to a rhinoceros which would never stop to defeat their foes no matter what it takes. Jin is getting pushed back, and he knows that his opponent is barely using any power in the fight. He's a 5-star swordsman going up against a knight way beyond 7 stars. Jin is cornered and at the brink of losing. But it's exactly when he feels the same feeling he felt fighting Kazin. Bishkel dashes to finish the fight. Jin awaits his slash in a state of meditation. With his blade decimated from the impact, Bishkel stops his weapon right next to Jin's neck. Jin collapses and Bishkel is crowned the victor. However, he nearly endured a fatal blow to his neck. Bishkel assesses the situation, realizing that Jin managed to master the Blade of the Heart skill in their fight. If only he had been a millisecond faster, the 7-star knight would have been killed. This fight alone has confirmed how much of a threat Jin poses to the other clans. He wakes up later in his room, annoyed that he fainted for 2 days. The banquet ended in his sleep, so he couldn't even bid farewell to his dear guests. Jilly tells him that people excitedly talked about the fight while he was unconscious. They were shocked to see such a special skill rise from a 5-star knight. The Blade of Heart helped him immensely, thanks to Luna's lessons from a young age. He couldn't comprehend their lessons when he was young. But this skill has saved him many times. He projected the talents of an 8-star knight and feels proud of his achievements. Jin found out about a bunch of things as a result of the banquet. He learned about Veradine's strength and influence and earned Cirrus' friendship. What's more is the discovery of Bubare's relationship with the Eviliano clan. Jin wants to take his time to investigate deeper into his concerns. Before leaving, Cirrus left him beautiful flowers. Jilly wonders if she has found a crush on him, but Jin believes otherwise. The flowers represent a symbol called the unending fight, meaning she desires to fight him someday again. Murakhan still thinks it's an achievement for this man to earn her affection. Jilly abruptly informs Jin to visit his father, who is expecting him. Jin realizes that his mission to get sent away is right around the corner. He tries to find him. Kiran is expecting him in the shadows. Jin is prepared to leave the clan, an answer his father seems to like. Their current location is called the Crypt, a place where select few heroes of the clan are honored, heroes that saved their clan many times in millennia. Sieran shares that the first patriarch rests in a different location. The very power that Jin now possesses is the reason they were never able to claim his body. Upon his death, the Zyphals cornered them into a contract to forever stop using magic. They placed a prominent curse upon the Run Candles, stopping the production of mana in their bodies from birth. Sieran remembers when he first asked the boy how he came to acquire such a power. He lied then, but the same answer could have put him in deep trouble at his current age. Kiran learns that Soldaret made him into his contractor. Interestingly, his father is curious if the boy wields the ability to conquer the clan with his newfound powers. Jin answers that once he discovers there is nothing in the world that is more desirable than his own clan, he will return to take his spot and conquer the clan. Sharon smiles as the boy possesses an entirely different reason for leaving the clan. Jin is given a duration of 5 years to make his decision. Unsheathing his weapon, Jin is prepared to meet his father at the end of his years. After his conversation, Jin wants to depart immediately, but Jilly is chained from using her powers. The Runkendels don't want Jin to accomplish anything with the assistance of outside forces, but rest assured because our boy is prepared to manhandle the situation during this time. He feels sorry for Jilly for enduring harsh treatment for his sake, but she's more than happy with his accomplishments for becoming a reserve flag bearer. Jin turns to look at the Runkendel estate a final time, realizing that this is where his journey truly begins. The perspective shifts to Kieran's contemplation. He may have become the strongest in the era with his might, even if he failed to void the pact made with the Zyphals. But for his son, He boasts the power of the god of darkness. Kieran is excited about what will become of him, and if he will be responsible for freeing the Run Candles for their lifelong curse. That night, Jin left without saying goodbye to any of his junior cadets, or even Luna. He thinks she wouldn't mind because he's just going out for training. Jilly wonders where they should go. Normally, reserve flag bearers like to explore Mamit Lawless to stack a reputation for catching criminals. It's necessary to amass a reputation before being accepted as a true flag bearer. For Mary, she defeated powerful warriors at her age and earned the reputation of the Madwoman of the South. Usually his siblings returned to the clan at most up to 2 years. But Kieran wanted Jin to explore the world for longer. He senses that Kieran wants the boy to master his powers fully before returning home. Jin sets his sights on the Arkan Kingdom, a dangerous Zyphal territory. His reasoning is simple. He heard about mercenaries hanging around the region to terrorize the locals of the area. Jilly is pumped with excitement. The truth is, our boy lied. He only knows this information because of his past life. A criminal syndicate called Tessing runs an underground auction, full of mysterious secrets. The valuables are what Jin is after. Since they can't use a portal to transport to the kingdom instantly, it's going to be a problem. Jin isn't supposed to reveal his identity or make use of his status as a member of the clan. He tells Jilly that they don't have to worry until they reach the Jian Kingdom. Our boy wants Murakan's help as his private escort. He ignores the risks as Murakan transforms into a beautiful dark dragon. Back at the castle, Luna suddenly feels a sharp sensation. She's shocked that Jin would take such absurd ways to travel right after exiting the clan. She's hoping the best for his success, despite feeling butthurt that he didn't even come to say goodbye. Having reached the Jian Kingdom, Gilly feels travel sick because of how fast they were going. Murakan is deeply worried about her, despite being a dark dragon of mysterious origins. Jin goes out to collect money while Murakan is taking care of his nanny. Remember Semberbil, the dude he saved in his first real mission? He's sad that he didn't get invited to the Runkandel banquet. Fortunately for him, Jin is right here. He creeps him out with a silent entry and wants his help. Jin requests that he obtain a good amount of money for them, surprising Sember. Unofficial flag bearers are told off against revealing their true identities, because their mission is to survive with their own powers instead of using the Runcandle family's name. This becomes a major problem for them when it comes to obtaining wealth. They spend the first few months grinding out funds for travel. This way, they live through the life of poverty and experience what it feels like to be a commoner. In Jin's case, this never happened. They got a good head start thanks to the wealth Sember promised. He returned the favor in kind. As they're preparing to teleport, Jin hopes that Dragon Boy over here doesn't just throw up like last time. The reason they didn't just fly their way to the Arkan Kingdom is because the Zephals control many dragons of their own. That flight would become a declaration of war. Murakan is seriously annoyed that those pesky sorcerers have marked their control over the skies as well. The clan boasts powerful dragons as well as the gods that created them. On the contrary, the Runcandles have one dude with one dragon that not even his own clan knows about. The Zyphals would have gotten an easy victory if Jin's father wasn't in the picture. In the midst of his contemplation, Jin reaches an epiphany. It's impossible to bring so many contractors and tie them into a single generation. His train of thought is broken when they reach the entrance. Jin has altered his identity to fit their travels. They await the teleportation to activate while Jilly comments on how impressive their clan's forged documents are. They're able to bypass any security with ease. The teleportation commences with Murakan being scared for his life. Jin recalls that it's been 15 whole years since his last visit to the Arkan Kingdom. They're here at last. Jin spent his final year in the same capital. Not much has changed since then. The people are lifeless as they used to be. Even Jilly senses the dark atmosphere caused by the crime syndicate Tessing. Jin prioritizes them to acquire lodgings before hunting down targets. They come around an ordinary-looking house. Murakan is salty. He chose a broken crib instead of investing in a nice apartment. Jin explains that he wants to keep low on his spendings for now. Murakan doubts his reasoning but ultimately accepts. As they enter inside, the lousy innkeeper is surprised that he received any guests at all. He presents them with drinks, welcoming his guests. But get this, here's the plot twist. The juice is spiked, and Murakan knows that. He smashes the glass in his face for pulling such a measly trick. Dragon Boy kicks him across his face for having the balls to mess around with his group. Murakan kicks him around mercilessly without remorse. Jetu, the information merchant, was actually a great buddy of Jin in the past. He helped him find a place when he was freshly thrown out of the Runcandle clan. However, Jetu was secretly a scumbag who betrayed Jin in his past life. He was tricked and lost all his wealth. It makes him frustrated just thinking about his stupid past life. That's why he's nonchalant about Jetu getting his ass beat by Murakan. He will squeeze him to get everything out of the guy. Jetu grows frustrated and shouts that he's a 5-star combatant. But Murakami legit does not give a flying fuck. He's just beating him black and blue. He had no plans of stopping either. But Jin intervenes as Jetu is nearing death, begging for mercy. Jin is in the mood to interrogate and emphasizes that he will kill the merchant if he fails to give an insufficient answer. Jetu answers Jin's first question, all the way up to the part where he reveals his disgusting business dealing in human trafficking. He begs to be spared to help them, as previously his plan was to take advantage of the newcomers by selling them off while unconscious. Jin stomps his hand, crushing his fingers as he reveals his association with the underground auction house. Now that Jin has gotten him to testify about Tessing, he's ready to work with the merchant. Much to the dismay of his friends, Jin wants to patch him up. He explains that they're dealing with a crime syndicate as well as an underground auction house. It's the perfect target to crush and make a name for themselves. They need an adequate guide working under their heels. Jetu happens to be that person, so Jin personally ventures out to get a healer for the snob. Arriving outside, he feels suffocated concealing information from Jilly and Murakami as they are unaware of his reincarnation. The doctor patches the merchant to health. He's incredibly annoyed and wonders what kind of person he's dealing with. More or less, Jetu doesn't want to betray Jin's expectations. Speaking of Jin, he wants him to lead the way to the auction house. Arriving in front of the grandeur of a beautiful estate, the guards are surprised to see Jetu with his so-called guests. They're given an easy entrance thanks to his name. Jin enters the house to find a bunch of musicians and waiters enjoying a premium party. One could hardly consider them criminals of a syndicate. Jetu explains that the organization has a cover leader called Salka, but their real leader is hiding elsewhere. He's called Spider-Hand Alu, and he's the one who decorated the place to hide his dirty professional life. Alu isn't just your average thug, however. He's got the influence to crush the underworld. He's also a powerful martial artist, stronger than Jin's current rank. Jetu reveals that the Runkandels are also associated with him. While Jilly and Murakami treat this rumor as a silly joke, Jin thinks that it's possible that one Runkandel could in fact be responsible for this deed. This person might be the same one who cursed him at birth. After all, the curse he suffered from is a 9-star curse that strips the talents of the swordsman completely. In the past 15 years of his new life, this is the first connection Jin has discovered relating to his lifelong curse in the previous life. He wants to investigate Alu and destroy the crooks under his reign. The master plan is to defeat their enemies in one day. Jilly raises caution about the skill of their enemies. There's also a problem that they're dealing with a platoon of sorcerers in the enemy territory. Jin still wants to take on this challenge. He has a plan. A plan that sounds so crazy that Murakami doesn't even understand it one bit. Jilly doesn't think it's a great idea since he's a Runkandel, but Jin is ready to drop the plan if their plans end up backfiring. Jetu leads them right to the underground auction house, which is undergoing its current trade of human beings. Jin sees this and realizes this dirty little Jetu wanted to knock them out and do the same. He's happy that there aren't any children among the people. Murakami is anxious, but Jin is playing out his plan with patience. He wants to wait for a useful auction item. The item he's looking for is a ring artifact. A week passed. They've been coming here all the same without making any purchase. Jetu states that it's necessary to buy something or else the criminal organization might pose some trouble. Jin leaves that problem in the merchant's hands. Jetu accepts on the outside, but he faces immense internal conflict because Tessing won't forgive them for refusing to purchase. Luckily for him, a magic book artifact is presented at last. It's an invaluable item once belonging to the sorcerer who ruled the world. Jin immediately recognizes the fake artifact. After all, the Zyphals would never allow such a treasure to get traded openly. Everything in this auction has been the same. The items are always fake, but foolish sorcerers keep purchasing them anyway. But something about Chenmi's artifact is different. Even Murakami vouches for the valuable object and insists Jin to purchase it. Jin puts up 150 gold, an amount no one is able to match. After making his first purchase, Jin makes a second purchase for another relic. Murakami doesn't understand why he's playing for such an expensive purchase. Jin feigns ignorance, but he knows that the object belongs to the Hister clan. It's a memory of his teacher in his past life, so he wants to give it to her as a gift if they ever encounter each other. After the purchase, Murakami inspects the legitimacy of the book. He's pleased with the results, but he certainly can't understand the second book Jin purchased. It's in a special language that only a few people can understand. Jin immediately calls for his next objective. He wants to meet with the leader of the syndicate immediately. Jetu explains that it is beyond his powers to do such a thing. Jin comes up with a sinister plan, forcing the merchant to name-drop Veradine Zyphal's name, fooling him into a meeting with Jin. Jetu goes crazy because he thinks it's the real Veradine in the flesh. He happily crashes into Alu's place to tell him to meet Veradine. Alu's men come around to escort the so-called Veradine. Instead of complying, Jin bashes him with a punch before casting a strong fireball. The poor guard tries to clear the misunderstanding, but Jin blasts his ass for a case of disrespect. He wants Alu to come meet him in the open on his knees. The humbled boss of the crime syndicate did as he was instructed by Jin. He apologizes for being respectful. Jetu thinks he has won the jackpot, becoming accommodated with the Veridine Zyphel himself. Even the magic spell Jin used was powerful, and would be impossible for anyone to use at this age. 1 week prior, Jin explained his plan to impersonate Veridine. It was a crazy idea to fool Alu, who is influenced by the Zyphels and wouldn't want to mess around testing Veridine's true identity. But that wasn't Jilly's main concern. What she feared was their own clan discovering Jin's attempt at impersonation. He demands Alu to lift his head and presents him with the secret magic tomes. Alu apologizes for trading them without the clan's permission. Jin feels offended that Alu sold off many valuables of the Zyphels to ordinary people. The crime syndicate's leader apologizes as he is a martial artist who doesn't know how to deal with ancient artifacts. Alu offers to recover the traded relics, but Jin is so pissed that he demands access to the client logs, threatening that his clan will investigate the matter privately. Alu finds himself at checkmate. He thinks his life built inside the Arkan Kingdom is no more, as the Zyphels have become furious of his actions. It's clear that the entire organization will cease to exist if the Zyphels become infuriated. Alu presents him with all the information necessary. He even offers to bring over highly confidential documents from his house. Jin immediately calls out his bluff, stating that Alu would use that time to plot something behind his back. With his plans uncovered, Alu finds herself struggling to utter even a single word. He turns around and instructs his men to keep them busy while he's gone. Alu is frustrated and becomes desperate in finding a way out of this mess. Gilly and Murakhan scout the information logs. Murakhan communicates with the boy through telepathy. Alu would soon discover Jin's real identity. But he isn't worried. Jin finally found the ring he was desperately looking for. Best Nanny Gilly is concerned for our boy's reckless methods, while the information merchant Jetu brings him a list of all the slaves Jin requested. Jin forces his way through Alu's guard, knocking him out in a single punch. Jetu doesn't understand his intentions, but Jin's mission with him has put him under major fire. So much so that he recommends the man flee to the Vymonth Empire because he's not surviving in the current place. Jetu wants to go along with Jin. He begs to stay by Veridine's side, thinking that he's going to steal all the glory. Jin finally reveals that he's not even Veridine himself. The poor informant's dreams are utterly crushed. 2 hours after that, Alu returned to confirm that the real Veridine boasts silver hair. This means they got heavily played by a bunch of no-name clowns. Alu learns that they escaped after retrieving information of all the slaves. In a fit of rage, he slams his own man in the nearest wall, killing him at once. Alu wants his men to find the imposters so that he can repay them for such humiliation. Meanwhile, Murakhan is concerned the crime syndicate's leader will locate them. Jin emphasizes that he wants to confirm the rumor of the Runkandels working with the man. They've already acquired the valuables. Murakhan is about to ask how Jin acquired the ancient ring. But before that, they have a fight to deal with. Alu has arrived, armed with his weapons to kill Jin and his friends. Unfazed, the 5-star knight simply tells him that they've reported the client list to the rest of the world, meaning his life is over. With that settled, it's time for the fight. Jin wants to solo his ass, and instructs Murakhan to handle the rest of the goons. Alu thinks they're underestimating him and orders his sorcerers to attack. Murakhan simply waits for them to come at him. He's strong enough to fend off each of their blows without even moving from his spot. Murakhan annihilates the remainder of Alu's men, being a one-man army of his own. Alu tells them to attack Jin and Gilly with their magical spells. But the spells are all weak in comparison to what Jin can pull off. He simply blocks them all thanks to the effects of the stone Luna gifted him long ago. The Dark Dragon is annoyed by their pesky numbers and reveals its true power. In a fit of fury and rage, Alu starts slaughtering his own men, having lost his damn mind. The upcoming battle is for Jin to fight, as Murakhan has already eliminated the small fries that could have caused trouble. The annoyed leader demands to know who ordered such a mission. He rushes to attack Jin, impressing him with his speed. Alu makes one thing clear: he's not going to die here. Murakhan reminds Jin that this time, he's facing a true 7-star fighter, unlike Bishkal, who was clearly holding back in their fight. Alu thinks Jin is extremely overconfident for challenging him. The swordsman draws his blade as the first clash connects between the two fighters. Alu is shaken to discover that this guy isn't a sorcerer but a swordsman. He pressures Jin to go on the defensive, before clawing him with a bunch of heavy attacks. Jin tries to counter. Jin realizes that he's dealing with someone way out of his league. Alu isn't concerned about Jin, but instead, he's wondering why Murakhan is staying out of the fight, despite being leagues ahead of him in strength. Murakhan is enjoying Jin struggling in this fight. Gilly shares her concerns, but the Dark Dragon emphasizes that it's necessary for Jin's growth. If there's a miracle, Jin might even win. Alu overwhelmed the 5-star Runkandel, believing that he's going to win. But the reality is, for the Runcandles, they're used to facing enemies far stronger than them. Jin deploys the use of an incredible magic spell, blasting him away. Alu is starstruck that he's fighting a magic swordsman. Jin coats his sword with electrifying magic. Alu cuts down the attack and believes that Jin is wasting his time. A shadowy glow illuminates as the swordsman chants, "Awaken Helm." The shocked martial artist cannot fathom what he is witnessing with his eyes. A dark swordsman coated in shadows has taken form. Jin is using